Namaste and welcome to your N-Emotion series. We're going to start this class with a mobility warm-up and then look at some stationary work and then get towards our locomotion. So for this class, I highly suggest you find yourself a big space where you can practice in. So whether it be outdoors or a space like I'm in here now. So this space isn't that big, but obviously much bigger than just a yoga mat or the space you would need for any body weight training. Because of locomotion and the animal flows, we're taking up a lot of room. So make sure you try and find a lot of space before getting into this class and into the warm-up and into the series. So when we're ready, let's get started. And I want you to place yourself to one side of the room. So I'm going to start at this end. So from here, again, as we're working through all of these movements, especially the warm-up, really want you to focus on your breath. Make sure your breath remains fluid throughout the entire class. So when you're ready here, I want you to dig your left heel to the floor. You're going to lean, find compression of the spine, and you're going to sweep the floor nice and slow. So perhaps you can't sweep the floor. Perhaps maybe you're just going to sweep your toes or maybe even sweep the shin. If you can, you want to go nice and low, sweep the floor. And as you do this, you're going to drop the foot down and then switch. You're going to come back up, right heel down, and continue. Think of drawing your chin toward the big toe, all the way forward. Beautiful. And all the way back. So again, try and time it so that you're working with as much space as I am here. If you don't have as much space as I do here, perhaps you go and do it twice. Okay, so you're going to go all the way there and back. If it's about the same amount of space or the same amount of time that it took you to go all the way there and back, that's great. If it's shorter, perhaps you do it twice there and back. So again, you can actually do a lot of these movements just on the mat, right? Some of these movements you can switch it up and just do it stationary. But the idea here, a lot of locomotion is about learning how to transfer your body weight properly and learning your own momentum. So let's move to our next warm-up, which is going to be our knee drop and knee to chest. So for this specific movement, there's a handful of different modifications and progressions, and we're going to continue to see them as we work through this warm-up. Now, ultimately what we're doing in this movement is I'm just drawing myself into a lunge. Now, if I have a hard time bringing my knee to the floor, then what I can do is just look to bring my glute onto my heel as I come into like a one-legged yogi squat. So I'm sitting on my back heel, and this way I'm making sure that my foot is in full extension. So if I need to modify, this is what I'm aiming for. I'm going to take a step forward. And ultimately what I'm looking to do, and I can also place my fingertips to the floor, I'm going to look to bring my glute onto my back heel and then come back up. Take a step forward, all the way down, glute to heel, okay? Now, that's the modification. If you can, what you're going to do is you're going to come down, you're going to bring glute to heel, but you're also going to drop the knee all the way to the floor and then back up. Take a step forward, drop, back up. Okay, again, progression. So even if you're finding the modification here, if you don't have as much ankle extension here, you stay here, you'll come up, drive your knee to your chest, then take a step forward all the way down and up. Try and exhale as you bring the knee to the chest. Beautiful. All the way back now. Drop the knee all the way to the floor if you can. You're really looking to find that back foot, back ankle in full extension. So what you're avoiding is doing something like this, dropping, and then trying to bring your glute back. So take a baby step forward, drop the knee, up. Think smaller steps. Oftentimes our mind will try and trick us. Say, oh, I want to get to the finish line quicker, so you take a bigger step, but you're messing it all up. So take a smaller step with control, down and up, okay? We'll see if we can do that same thing, same movement one more time, whichever modification works for us. All the way down, exhale on the way up. One more. Beautiful. On the way back. Beautiful. Good. You can shake the legs out. So throughout this class, I want you to try and keep the body moving as much as possible. If we stay still or if our posture isn't the best, then we're not doing the body any justice. So try and keep the body moving. Even if you're taking a few breaths in between your workouts, try and just move it around a little bit. Great, now let's take a look at the progression of that same movement. So this time, instead of coming all the way back up before taking your next step, I want you to try and keep your hips as low to the floor as you can. And maybe even just try and keep it to your knee height. So try not to bring your hips higher than your knee and take a step forward. So really try and take the hips as low to the floor as you can. Again, if you can, dropping knee and continue. Drop, drop. Really trying to keep the hips as low to the floor as you can. So we'll see if we can do this 2 times all the way forward and back. So 2 full runs all the way forward and all the way back. So we're going to drop, up, drop, try and keep the hips as low to the floor as you can. Again, your breath remains fluid. Beautiful. Good. I often like to kind of use my elbows to balance. So keep your hands out in front of you, and this will also help with your balance. And then balancing left to right, you can kind of use your elbows to feel a lot more balanced and stable as you're moving. So let's see if we can do it one more time. Once again, drop. Again, you can still do knee off the floor, so a little bit less of an extension. And if you need to, we're just going back to that last movement, coming back up. Beautiful. Good. Now we'll see if we can try a progression of that. We'll do it on the way back. This time, instead of going forward, see if you can do it backwards. So same movement. Try and keep your hips low. Drop, 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 and drop. Good. Shake the legs. And believe it or not, there is another progression to this. So this time, instead of having your hands out in front of you to balance, I want you to use your arms as if you're running. So this is called our running man. Now, dropping into that same position, that same starting position, if you haven't yet found this position with ankle and full extension, then I do suggest you go back to just practicing, again, any of our last modifications. So from here, what you're going to do is, if your right foot is forward, you're going to bring your left elbow forward. So left elbow, right foot. What you're going to do from here, again, that knee wants to be to the floor. I want you to pin your hips to the floor, so your hips aren't moving up at all. What's going to lift is your right heel as you drop your right knee to the floor. Now, again, my starting position is left elbow forward, right knee, right foot forward, and I'm going to switch. I'm going to sweep my back leg so that it comes forward, and as I sweep it forward to keep my balance, I rotate my arms, right elbow forward, left knee, and I continue and continue all the way forward. Okay, so we'll see if we can do this a total of 2 times, all the way forward, all the way back. Again, if you still haven't found full extension with the knee to the floor, I suggest you continue to work on any of the last progressions. So from here, right foot forward, left elbow, I sweep and continue. Look for more control and fluidity in the movement. You don't want to rush anything. Okay, so you can go for a few more. Beautiful. Let's go one last one, all the way there, all the way back. Now there is actually a way of doing this backwards, but definitely challenging to start. So we're going to skip the backwards on this one, but for a lot of the locomotion we can do it backwards. Just having that muscle memory. Elbow forward, right foot forward, sweep. You can really try and sweep the foot around. That way you know you're not lifting the hips. Beautiful, good, and shake it out. Great, now let's look at some of our stationary work. We're going to look at some bear kicks, which I've done in a handful of other classes and my active mobility workouts. But we're going to look at a lot of different progressions of the bear kick and how that kind of plays into some of our locomotion movements. So finding a stationary position and what we call our bear. So again, just to go over our bear very quickly, ideally I want my shoulders right above the wrist and my hips right above the knees. So some of us might be a little bit further back, and that's okay. But eventually what you'd like to do to find more core engagement while in this position, your hips are directly above the knees. So instead of something like this, hips above the knees, the spine is neutral, protracting shoulders, keeping the chest away from the floor. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the left hand away, and I want you to feel your hips wanting to move over to the right. So I'm taking my left hand away, hips move over to the right, and then I bring it back. Again, I try and come back into that same position. Switch, take right hand away, feel my feet pivot, my hips are now over to the left and back. Okay, we'll see if we can do this a total of 10 times, so 5 to each side. So when you're ready, take the hand away, feel the feet pivot, and back. It's 1. Again, 5 to each side. 2. One last one. Beautiful. Good. You can take a moment here into Malasana. So again, we're going to move into that progression, but if you have a hard time, we just go back to this first movement. So moving forward, we're going to get right into our bear kick. Shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. You're going to take left hand away, and instead of keeping that right foot to the floor, you're going to continue to pull that left arm as you kick, point the toe over to the left, and then you're really thinking slow as you pull the arm back and extend the leg and explode back to center. Slow and back to center. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, 5 to each side or 10 all together. When you're ready, beautiful. Once again, just take a moment into Malasana. So we're going to look at one last little progression that I find super fun to do that brings us into our bear kick. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to start on the floor. I want you to extend your right leg out, left knee in. So you're coming onto the floor here, and you're going to do kind of like a baby sit-up to come up. So I want you to try and bring the same momentum that you use from way down here. That momentum is going to be felt into your bear kick. So you're going to come up, all the way up. You're going to place the hands down. You're You're gonna find your bear and kick to the other side and then drop, and you end up into the same position over to the other side. So again, the momentum that I use here for me to come up, it should be felt all the way over to the other side. So as I come up, slowly down. Okay, so same thing, 5 to each side, 10 all together. When you're ready, that's 1. Good. Let's go one more to each side. Beautiful. Great, so let's take a look at another stationary movement that I absolutely love to do because it's so great for the shoulder, and we start to use muscles of the shoulder and the upper back that we don't normally use unless we do movements like these, or we really try and target those muscles. So this is why I love to do a lot of this type of movement, and it's basically our wild reach. So to start in this position, we need to come into our high plank. So do your best to try and keep the feet about hip distance, so not touching but not too far apart. You're coming into that high plank position. What you're going to do is you're going to take your right foot out and you're going to come almost into a side plank position. And I do want you to feel that momentum to drop your hips all the way to the floor. Now from here, you're going to ground your left foot to the floor. You're going to reach the hips up. And this is where we really start to activate that back side of the shoulder and the upper back. You're going to reach, drop all the way back down, and you want to find yourself back into your high plank position. So moving yourself back, high plank. And for this drill, before coming to the other side, what I want you to do is come into your puppy squat. So from high plank, bend the knees, bring your belly onto your inner thighs, really lower down, protract shoulders to the ears, and slowly move back forward before moving to the other side. And you can go as slow as you want here. You can drop your glutes all the way to the floor, take your time, then come up, down, back, puppy, to the other side, down, up. Try and keep this grounded heel to the floor, down, back. Okay, so you can go super slow and really take your time as you do this. But again, for a lot of locomotion, you want to feel that fluidity. So if you're going at a certain pace, don't try and necessarily slow it down. You want to look for ultimate control and ultimate fluidity. Not rushing, but you do want to find. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed it that much, please hit subscribe. It means a lot. And if you're someone who's looking to take their practice to that next level, whether you're a beginner looking to simply improve their practice, or even an advanced practitioner looking to fine-tune their practice, head over to B Movement Academy, my own online school of yoga and movement, where you can find all of my premium content and exclusive programs that will meet you every step of the way to meet any of those movement or mindfulness goals. Most light and love. Namaste.